of the most important elements in the wars is transportation and logistics support. It is very difficult for an army with a weak transportation network to succeed. It is known that the troops without logistic support have problems with ammunition, supplies, and shelter. The Russian army frequently faces transportation and logistic problems in the Ukrainian territories it occupies. As we mentioned in the previous days, the lack of coordination in the Russian army negatively affects the Russian troops. Due to the successful resistance of the Ukrainian defense and the coordination problems of the Russian army, many Russian troops are either laying down their arms or surrendering. In the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia occupied before its full-scale invasion, a shocking development took place in early hours of the morning. An emergency incident was reported at the Kerch Bridge connecting the Crimean Peninsula to Russia. Russian authorities did not share information about the nature of the emergency incident. Let's analyze the latest developments in the Crimean together. A Moscow official said in the statements that there has been a frightening developments on the Crimean Bridge, which halted traffic on the only link between the occupied peninsula and Russia. Russia's Crimean official Sergei Aksenov did not specify the nature of the emergency. Sergei Aksenov said that the law enforcement agencies and the relevant officials are working. He also announced that he spoke with the Minister of Transport of the Russian Federation, Vitaly Savelyev, and measures are being taken to improve the situation. Russia's Crimean official Sergei Aksenov advised those traveling to and from Crimea to choose an alternative route. There have been many claims about the emergency situation on the bridge. Information from local sources indicates that there was a big explosion on the bridge. The fact that Russian authorities did not make statements on this issue strengthened these allegations. According to information from multiple sources, the strategically important Crimean Bridge was hit twice in the early hours of the morning. Russia's Krasnodar governor, Veniamin Kondratiev, shared the crisis center has been established to coordinate emergency services and rescue those stuck in traffic on the bridge. It is stated that part of the bridge collapsed as a result of this attack. As a result of this attack, which blocked Crimea's road connection with the mainland Russia, traffic was completely blocked. Russian-backed official Ellen Alexian stated that Crimea has all supplies in the terms of fuel, food, and industrial products. The Ministry of Transport of the Russian Federation said in statements that the spans of the Crimean Bridge were damaged. The spans in a bridge are the extensions between the support piers. For this reason, these spans are the most vulnerable point of the bridge. According to the statement, officials of the Ministry of Transport of the Russian Federation will start repair work after the inspection of the bridge. The easy shooting of the Crimean Bridge, which is of great strategic importance, has raised allegations about the Russian army. Stating that the Russian army has defense deficiencies, experts stated that attacks in this direction may occur more frequently. The Ukrainian Defense Intelligence spokesperson made statements about developments on the bridge. According to the statements, the collapse of the part of the Crimean Bridge will create logistical difficulties for Russian forces. Ukrainian Defense Intelligence spokesman Andriy Yuzov stated that Russia uses the bridge as a major logistic hub to move forces and resources to Ukrainian territory. Andriy Yuzov said that any logistical problems experienced by Russia create potential advantages for the Ukrainian defense forces. Following the statements, Andriy Yuzov said that Ukraine does not bear responsibility for the bridge attack. He said that he would not comment on the causes of the damage to the bridge. Stating that the Crimean Bridge is an unstable structure, Yuzov said that these developments are normal. Russian officials, on the other hand, blame Ukraine for the attack. Vladimir Konstantinyov claimed on social media that the Kiev regime organized an attack on the Crimean Bridge. Kiev has not claimed direct responsibility for the attack. However, the security service of the Ukraine published a hint on social media that the Ukrainian leadership was behind the attack. Nightingale, dear brother, the bridge is asleep again. The Ukrainian Security Service said in a message. It also interacted with a post from October 2022 referring to the previous attack on the Crimean Bridge. In October 2022, a massive explosion on the Crimean Bridge caused parts of the bridge to collapse. However, this attack was not officially claimed by the Ukrainian leadership. Recently, Ukrainian Defense Deputy Minister Hanna Maliar made it clear that the Ukrainian forces were responsible for the October attack. According to Russian sources, the highway of the Crimean Bridge has been damaged, but the railroad continues to operate with delays. The 12-mile-long bridge, known as the Kerch Bridge, is of strategic importance for Russia's operations. The Kremlin claimed in statements that 2 Ukrainian naval vessels had hit the Crimean Bridge, but provided no evidence for the claim. Moscow announced an investigation into the attack, which the Russian Investigation Committee called an act committed by the Ukraine's special services. A source in the Ukrainian Security Service said in a statement that the attack on the bridge belonged to Ukraine. It was admitted that the attack on the Crimean Bridge was a joint operation of the Security Service of the Ukraine and the Ukrainian Navy. It was stated that the task of gathering intelligence on the operations on the bridge was carried out by Security Service of Ukraine. According to the allegations gathered, the best time for the operation was determined. The Ukrainian Navy carried out 2 successful attacks on the strategically important bridge spans. After the successful strikes of the Ukrainian Navy, a part of the bridge collapsed. While Russian troops were anxiously trying to understand the attack, the Ukrainian troops returned to their bases. The successful operations of the Crimean Bridge shows that the Ukrainian armed forces are taking their work very seriously. The inability of the Russian troops to prevent the attacks on the bridge proves that there is a major security weakness. After the attack on the Crimean Bridge, thousands of people left Crimea. Residents panicked as they tried to leave the Crimean Peninsula and flee to Russia. The destruction of the Crimean Bridge, the shortest escape routes from Crimea, makes it difficult to escape. It is reported that the traffic on the escape routes is kilometers long. It is stated that there are about 50,000 tourists in Crimea, which has become a popular vacation spot for Russia after occupying the Crimean Peninsula. Last month, Ukrainian President Zelensky promised to end the Russian occupation of Crimea. Russian troops are trying to reinforce their troops on the island, much to the dismay of Russian troops. If the Russian army is prevented from using the Crimean Bridge, the supply lines to the occupying Russian troops in the southern Ukraine will be weakened. For this reason, the inoperability of the bridge makes it difficult for the Russian army. For the Ukrainian army, the Crimean Bridge is a symbol of the Russian occupation. Russian military convoys, armored vehicles, and fuel tankers make regular trips over the bridge to the occupying troops to the Ukrainian territory. We will see that developments will take place on this strategically important bridge in the coming days. What do you think is the strategic importance of the Crimean Bridge? What do you think about the attacks on the Crimean Bridge? Do you think that the Russian army has coordination problems? How was the attack on the Crimean Bridge received by the people on the Crimean Peninsula? How do you interpret the success of the Ukrainian Navy in the operation? Do you think that the Russian army will withdraw from the occupation in the face of its unsuccessful course? We value your opinion. Please share it with us.